What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to discuss some of the key things that you need to know in order to help you achieve your dream of purchasing that supercar. But before we get started, let's take a look at this clip right here.
I stepped floating on air and I leapt straight out of my chair, almost wept. I swear I must have been dreaming. If I'm sleeping, don't wake me up now. Let me linger and meet her somehow. Now we fly without a care, say goodbye to the folks down there, ask me why. Oh, well, I ain't answer. Ain't answer. Is it all just a dream? Why is she still here?
Well, don't you just love that? My goodness. Look at that. Lamborghini doing their thing out there. All right. So we're going to go through the process here of having the opportunity to potentially purchase a supercar that you wouldn't believe how many smiles it puts on people's faces. Not only your own, but those who come across that supercar of yours in your journey through life. So first thing we're going to run through here, I'm going to talk through kind of the process of what I know it to be, what I've gone through, what I've heard from others. But basically, one day you wake up and you're like, man, I would love the opportunity to purchase a supercar. Well, what's involved? Well, first of all, you've got to build some sort of history for financing, unless you're able to save up all the money from whatever means of income you got, and you want to save up, $500,000 to pay in cash. Well, hey, more power to you. But for the majority of those who need to finance, we're going to kind of talk through the process of what it's going to take to get something as such. Now, you can save up a couple hundred and get you a nice model car like this, but we're going to actually go through the process of getting a real live version of this. All right, so let's just jump right into it here. So when it comes to financing, there are a couple of major lenders that are out there that will finance in this realm. So to kind of talk through how the banks work, what I found is that most banks will finance up to about right around that $75,000 mark. And most of them will go up to about 72 months on that. Now, when you're looking at a vehicle that is going to be $100,000 plus, anything over that $75,000 mark, you're going to most likely have to put money down. And in most cases, you're going to have to put down about 20%. So the first thing you've got to do is figure out, okay, what is my 20% dollar figure that I'm shooting towards saving so that I can purchase this car? And then also the amount that's left after the 20% is down, what term am I going to finance that over, roughly at whatever rate, depending on credit score, and what does that monthly payment look like? So this article here kind of, goes through some of the key components here. So a 740 plus credit score, okay? Credit score is very important here. Banks are not going to lend you money that they don't think you can repay. So make sure you have good credit. And if this is something you want to do in the future, make sure you are building your credit so that you will be able to afford this. Credit history is also an important thing for people who do not finance vehicles and you want to go finance a very expensive one, it can be a challenge to get approved for that loan. So what banks want to see is a steady progression. So, let's say your first car you financed was 10,000 and then you finance one for 20,000 and you finance one for 30. They're looking for a good credit history for car repayment. So in order to get into $100,000 car, you're probably going to need to finance something closer to like 50, 60, $70,000. At that point, they'll see the history associated with that higher value and make possibly it'll be more likely that you can get finance for that. Getting financing is probably one of the biggest hurdles to get over. And then we talked already about terms. So most banks will go up to 72 months. Now, when you get into the exotic car financing lenders, those are the ones that will go, 84 months upwards of 144 months. Now, when you're financing a car for 144 months, that is 12 years. So you'll be paying on that car for 12 years. So even though the payment may be lower over the span of 12 years, you're going to be paying that car off for a while. So that's also something to consider. But some of those, we'll talk about some of those unders in a little bit. We talked about the percentage down. So loan to value ratio, they're looking for that to be about 80%. So that would require you to have to put down about 20% down payment in order to give the bank something for them to do business with you. And then obviously your ability to repay it, also coupled with your debt to income ratio. So it's a full-blown financial picture. The banks need to make sure that you can actually afford this vehicle that you're looking to purchase. Okay, so now let's talk about we can talk about interest rates. Interest rates are going to be a little bit higher because obviously for the banks the risk is a lot higher. So interest rates are going to be higher. So here in this example here, if you're going to finance $100,000 for 84 months with 20% down, and let's say the APR is 2.5%, your monthly payment is going to be $1,143. Obviously, if the percent is higher, even with good credit financing, 84 months with an exotic lender, you could be about, in the 6% range, even if you have really good credit. Now, everyone's got to make their money. So some of these special exotic finances, what they actually do is they shop outside for a bank that will finance you. And obviously the bank is probably financing you at X and they're getting that differential between the markup. So let's say the bank, if you had found a bank directly and they were going to finance you at 3%, and you found an exotic financing lender who shopped for you, they may charge you 6%. So they're making that 3% every month that you pay. So everyone's got to make their money. So that's just kind of giving you a breakdown. So you can obviously finance your vehicle through the manufacturer if you're buying, in this case, like an Audi, a Lamborghini, a Benz, a Porsche, what have you. There are some deals that you can do with those manufacturers. But if you happen to need, some of these online lenders, Collector Car Lending, JJ Bank, Best Bank and Company, Lightstream, Woodside. So if we go to some of these sites here, you can see this is Woodside. So Woodside does require a 20% down payment in order to finance that car. Now they talk about here lowest monthly payments. That is, it's kind of true. Yes, because we're talking about 144 months, 12 years to pay back that car when your average auto loan is about 5 years. So this is more than double that. So also something to consider. How long do I want to be paying on this car? You've got here JJ Best. I think they specialize in collector cars, but they will also finance you as well for other supercars. And here you have Collector Car Lending. So to kind of talk through the process for me, actually, before we get there, there are also some credit unions. So like I mentioned, with 20% down, it's almost like if you go to a special exotic financing, they take your 20% and they finance the difference. Is that right? Either way, you send them the 20% and they work out the rest on the backside. So yeah. So you know what? They're taking your 20%. Everything comes together. My bad. Everything comes together to pay for that vehicle. They're making their money off the interest off of that repayment. So there we got that. But there are some credit unions out there. So you just have to take the time to shop around so that you can find someone who can finance you. If you can cut out the middleman, you're going to save some money in the process. But it does take some time to actually find the appropriate lender. Leasing, I'm not really going to get into leasing. For me, I don't really. I mean, if you want a car that bad that you're willing to put money down, it's like you never own the car. That's leasing's not for everyone. If you want to get into something, get out. It is a lot of money to just pay to have a car for a period of time, but leasing's not for everyone. All right, so to kind of talk through the process for me. So finding the appropriate lender, okay, getting your 20% down, and then you also need to find insurance. So here's a challenging part with insurance. With insurance, you have to it can be a challenge because the insurance companies are looking for a vehicle similar that you have insured with them of that high value. So in short, one of the biggest insurers for supercars, classic cars is Haverty. Haverty? Is it Haverty? Jeez, what is not Haverty? That's a furniture. Let's see, insurance, classic. Haggerty. Haggerty. So with Haggerty, when I sent all my information to Haggerty, they were basically like, well, because you don't have any history in owning a vehicle of this magnitude, we can't do anything for you. And it's like, wow, that's interesting. So what I ended up doing was I reached out to a bunch of different insurance places, reached out to Progressive. They didn't even have the NSX in their selection. So that was a no-go. They couldn't do it. It was too high price. Reached out to State Farm. State Farm, surprisingly, actually was able to insure the vehicle. Everything's worked out perfectly fine, fully covered. So that's great. So insurance is also one of the challenges because you can't drive the car without having the thing insured, especially if you're picking it up, driving it back. So the process for me, 20%, finding the proper lender. I ended up using JJ Best Bank and Company. So I used them. And then what I did after the vehicle was paid down a little bit more is I went ahead and refinanced it through my own credit union to save like a ton of money because the interest rate drop is massive. It's literally cut in half, if that. And so from there, you just kind of create a plan to pay the thing down until you decide to do whatever you want to do with it, sell it, keep it, whatever it may be. So again, 20% down, finding the appropriate insurance. Now that I've been with State Farm for about it's almost a year, I'm pretty sure I could go to Haggerty, but always feel free to shop around for different rates whenever you feel like, hey, maybe there's a cheaper rate out there. It's your money. You should make sure you're getting the best value for what you're spending. So feel free to always shop for insurance at any point in time. I mean, for anything in life, whether that's home, auto, motorcycle, whatever it is, feel free to shop. It's your money. If you have to cancel, you'll get a reimbursement of the prorated amount. So that's not really anything to consider. So yeah, that's kind of the process. Now, there's a guy out here. And I have not really looked into his stuff, but apparently this guy is teaching people how to do exotic car hacks. Now, if there's anyone out there that's actually used his program, I'd be interested to know if it actually works. But I mean, common sense, and if you're into cars and you finance cars, it kind of tells you what you need to do. I mean, unless you're in the business and you make a heck of a lot of money, you're going to be like every other person out there who is working towards building up a portfolio, building up a profile that says to the banks, hey, I'm worthy of you lending me this money to buy this particular vehicle, and I will, repay. So apparently there's a lot of people here who have used his program and have been successful with being able to purchase their dream car. But for me, I chose not to actually go that route, but to just kind of, again, use what I've known and kind of go from there. Okay, so that's it for today. It's a wrap. So we covered kind of the process of how we were able to search out financing for the NSX and what that supercar purchase journey was like. Any questions, comments, feel free to leave them down below. I will get to them as quickly as possible. Any questions at all? I mean, I don't have necessarily any recommendations for who to use for financing or what to do to boost your credit and such and so forth. But, make sure you're a good steward of your dollars so that, you can set goals and achieve those goals one day, and tell me about your supercar purchase and how hopefully this video possibly helped you get there. It's your boy BT. Thank you guys for joining, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.